So we've talked a lot about networking and connecting, which really is the point. I love that you took it back to the foundation of LinkedIn. But before people do that, they also want to have their profile straightened out. And I know you've got some information about how profiles are shifting. Share with us what's happening and what's so important for people to go back and fix in their profile.
Well, first of all, we need to think that LinkedIn is a profile database and a search engine. So if you are not there with enough information that LinkedIn can use, well, it doesn't matter if you have a small or big network because LinkedIn is not going to position your profile. There is nothing there to position, so you need to fill out your LinkedIn profile with keywords. But it's not the keywords that you like. It's the keywords that are being used to search professionals like you. Either you are a sales professional, you are a job seeker, it doesn't matter. Because when you think about it, so if you go to Google or any other search engine and you try to search for something, you will input some keywords. So it's your keywords, it's based on your needs. Now you need to think the other way around. What might be the needs of other professionals that want something that you have to offer them? So, and you need to fill out this with these keywords, your profile, where, well, you can start with headline. Headline has 220 characters you can use wisely. Well, this is probably the place inside your profile where you have less freedom, but you have 220 characters to use. The second one is the about section. It's about you, but it's not for you. It's for your clients. It's for your future boss. So you need to think, how can you structure the about section, sharing who you are and what value can you bring to the other person that is looking to your LinkedIn profile. Of course, you don't know who is this person, but you may think, what is your ideal client profile, right? And then adjust your about section to them. And by the way, by the end of March, about section, according to LinkedIn, is going to be restructured. It's going to have more visibility. So it's going to have even more importance than it has right now. And also you need to structure your LinkedIn profile around value to others. It's not about you, it's about them. It's about you, of course, but it's for them. So structure your profile about how can you solve problems of your potential client or company you want to work for.
I love that. And we get kind of hung up there about we need to tell our story and that story is important, but the story becomes poignant and compelling when it's thought about what stories really matter to my audience and what stories are going to move them to take action. And so it's not, you don't want a sales pitch in that about section, but you want stories that demonstrate why someone would hire you or do business with you or want to engage with you. And then you want it to be clear what you do. And I love at the bottom of your about section that it's very clear in terms of what people would call you to do.
Well, once again, depending on the kind of role you have, you can structure your about section like a funnel. It's basically like, who am I? Why I'm different from everyone else? Who do I help? Or what kind of value I bring to the company I want to work with? But there is another important thing is sometimes people think, well, Nelson, but I don't want to add a lot of information. Yeah, but you forget that LinkedIn is going to target two types of users. Let's use it, not say users, consumers. First one, search engines. So and if a search engine doesn't find you, and LinkedIn is included, well, the second one, which is us, will not read anything. So if it's like, of course, a resume is you need to make it shorter, but LinkedIn, you can put more information, and LinkedIn wants more information because LinkedIn works with your data in order to position yourself to the world.
We were talking about the about section, but don't forget that in the experience sections, you have 2,000 characters per experience entry, and we don't want it to read like your resume. We want it to include some of those stories while incorporating those keywords. Now, you talked earlier about how people would identify some of those keywords. Tell us what's going on with the skills section of LinkedIn.
Well, skill section is a work under construction that linked for several years. And LinkedIn is improving, not only increasing the number of skills we can use from 50 up to 100 skills. And you may think, well, this is too much. Well, depends. Well, if you are a seasonal professional, you have a lot of skills you can add there. And it's important to right now think about what kind of skills do I have that are valuable to my company, to my clients, and adjust that. Well, right now, my advice is to put in order. So the most important for you or for your client on top, and then well the least important below, because up to now this is important. But in the future, probably we are going to see something like we had several years ago, where someone will recommend a skill, but this skill is like they recommend based on the experience they had with you. They recognize that you were very highly skilled at that skill or not, and what kind of relationship this person had with you when he or she saw your skill in action. Also, the validation, like we have, if you want to have a skill like PowerPoint, you can take an assessment. This is something that LinkedIn is going to bet in order to find ways to validate the skills. Because right now I can say that, well, I can say that I have any kind of skill right now, right? And there is no validation on that. But based on the courses that you take, if you are using LinkedIn Learning or these kind of assessments and validation from others, your peers at work, but probably your clients and your providers, this is one of the important things that LinkedIn wants, because LinkedIn wants, when if I search for something, position your profile based on your experiences related to the experience section, but also the skills.
Well, and I've noticed this was maybe a year ago where they started separating out your skills into different sections, leadership and their different sections. So that's a good thing to people to pay attention to. And if you're adding new skills, to kind of see what's laid out in those different sections. The other thing, and I don't know if you see this, but now that LinkedIn started pulling the skills into the jobs, and especially like in the about section, there's that little highlighted thing, and they've got the diamond beside them, and they say top skills. I found that a lot of people aren't paying attention to what skills are listed there. And I worked with a VP, and he had very low level skills posted there. And it's like, well, let's go back and change those, make sure that those are the ones that you really want up there for that. On that note, why don't you give us a little bit of your predictions or your knowledge? What should we be watching out for on LinkedIn? What's coming next?
Well, I think skills, once we are talking about it, I think they will bring again what we had several years ago, which was a page about like leadership. And then when you clicked on the skill leadership, then it shows up what is leadership all about: training companies, professionals looking for jobs in leadership or experts in leadership. Because this is a way to, well, gather all the information that we need for a specific skill, even the hashtags that we can use. Now, the other thing I think LinkedIn is going to push is a new way to position skills inside our profile. Because as you said, now we can have 5 skills for each one of the experiences we have, which is a little bit messy in terms of organization of UI. And I think they will adjust that. Also, one thing I believe that will happen, I don't know if next year or probably in 5 years, which is going to be adjusting the profile based on the experience of the user. So meaning, well, if you are looking for something, then LinkedIn, because right now you can have your profile in English, in Portuguese, in Spanish, whatever. So they are going to adjust the language based on the user. But I believe they will adjust the content based on what you are looking for. Not, of course, adding new content, but just adjustments in terms of, for example, if you have 20 experiences because you are a seasonal professional, some experiences that might be important are not being showed up because it was like 10 years ago, but they are still valid, for example. So maybe like a dynamic profile, something like that. And I also think that LinkedIn is going to bring groups back to life. Groups they are an important part of LinkedIn. and they still need to figure out how can be used and valued to the users, because most users don't use. And also, it's important the feature sections. I think the feature section is going to be revamped in order to make it easier for us to choose other things, and they are progressing towards that, other things that, well, a link or something that we post, because right now you can start thinking that LinkedIn is changing that feature section, and you can, for example, highlight different things besides the normal content. And also a better way to suggest to which professionals you may want to connect based on your experience. But for that, we need to have a complete profile, because LinkedIn is going to target these professionals based one on our profile, on our activity, and also on our network.
Oh, I love that. Well, we've been talking about how that people you might know section has changed, but hadn't really thought about how that relates to your big picture and your strategies. Nelson is joining us as a speaker at the Career Thought Leaders Symposium in Lisbon, April 10th through the 12th. We're excited to see you in person. If you are in the career space, you can check that out at careertl.com/SYMP24. And if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to hit the like and subscribe so that you can get notified as we post these new videos.